I found that one really wonderful thing about being on the consulting side is being able to sort of look across organizations in a very different way and see sort of patterns and trends and in some sense, sort of if depending on sort of where you're working, almost like the system or the ecosystem that's at work. And that, I think, is much harder to do when you are in the thick of sort of day-to-day implementation work. So that has been really a wonderful part of the work with FSG and something I feel like I've learned a ton in the last year and a half. I think that the sort of the challenges, there's many and they look different for different people, but I think the one for me has mostly just been trying to balance your work with your life because, as Kim mentioned, people do this work because they're excited and they're passionate and they're looking for impact, and there's always more that you can do. Just literally, there's always more.
Diversity of issues, of industries, of geographies. I never thought I'd be able to go to as many places as I have or work on as many different themes as I have, so that's been really rewarding. And as a continual learner, I think it fulfills that part of me. I wish I was still in school. I love being at school. I love being at Berkeley. So that has been amazing. And the other part is a positive and negative, but the fast-paced, so you're definitely not bored. It's a constant challenge. You're constantly solving different problems. Especially because we work on multiple projects at the same time. In a way, if one project's not going well, you still can find meaning and get rewarded out of the other projects you have. So that diversity of your portfolio, I think, is also important. And then for the challenges, definitely for me, the not being a part of implementation, seeing the impact firsthand is hard. And then also the balance. And I think that goes 2 points. One, you're on the road a lot, so it's a lot of time that you're not with your friends and family, which is both it's an amazing opportunity, a privilege to be doing work in other areas, but I don't have an opportunity very often to work in my own community. And even at the job where I am now, I don't get to volunteer as much because you need to be able to commit to being there one day a week. And, I really can't commit to that. So I think that's been hard. And then also the long hours. So being in the field is amazing. You're close to impact. But when I'm working in areas that are, conflict zones and you have armed bodyguard or restricted freedom of movement, you will be working a 10-hour day, and then you have dinner with your team, and then if you're allowed out anywhere to get exercise, you're with your team. So you can be staying in the physically same house as your client or your company and be with them all the time. And so being able to both take care of yourself but also just have a little downtime can be hard. And I've become really good friends with some of the people that I work with where that's great, but it is definitely a different lifestyle choice.
I'm always sort of learning something new, and so I love that aspect of it. I would also say that we work in many different sector areas, each of which it requires a great deal of specific knowledge, and so sometimes it's difficult for me to sort of shift gears as quickly as I need to. So we might be working on something for a client that's in education, and then I have to sort of quickly shift over to a community health clinic engagement or to a human services client, and so there can or a tax credits project. So there can be I can feel a little scrambled at times, having to sort of shift my thinking. And I would say the other challenge about the work that we do, because we are a nonprofit organization, is that we have our own capacity issues.
People make a huge difference because you're going to spend a lot of time with them, and so I think being in a place where you really are in alignment with the culture and alignment with the values of the organization is hugely important. I was led to Bridgespan mainly because of that, really thinking about the leadership, how they think about things, and I had just tremendous respect for that, so that was a huge factor for me. And then, I think in terms of the opportunity, I think much has been said about what's great about consulting. The work is fascinating. I think we really look very deeply at the impact we're having, and so and we're focusing on that even more so now as we think about what are really scalable solutions to really the problems that exist today. How do we think differently about solving these problems? And so it's just a particularly exciting time, I think, in the social sector at this moment, and it's an exciting time to be in consulting. And I think we see ourselves very much kind of joined at the hip, even more so with our clients and with people in the field, trying to think about ways to structure different conversations outside of our consulting that could really fuel progress in the social sector. So I think it's a really fascinating time to be in this industry because of where it's heading.